channel, we like to talk about wealth, wisdom, and happiness, and how to increase those in your everyday life. So today, being it's my first video, I've wanted to start this YouTube channel now for a long time, and finally I'm here doing it. And today I want to talk about wealth, since that's the first on my list. I want to talk about something my husband and I have now done for 5 years, and I want to start with the basics and go back to the beginning. So my husband and I are landlords. We purchase rental homes. We rent them out. That's not like our full-time job. I'm sure many of you are watching this video and you know me. We are pastors at our local church, which is always number one. However, on the side, we purchase rental homes and we do rent them out, and we are landlords. And that's how we increase our finances as time goes on. I want to go back to the very beginning before we were married, and we had sat down and said, once we get married, this is something we want to do. Our question was, how do we start? Where do we begin? The first thing you need to do is get your credit right. Get your credit right. And the first thing that we did that helped us get there was we went and got a secured credit card. And if you don't have a credit card, maybe you're in your early 20s and you never had a credit card, which is where we were at before, or maybe you're older and you haven't been very good with your credit and you're looking to rebuild your credit, the best thing I would suggest is getting a secured credit card. Now ours had a $300 limit, so basically what we did was we handed them over $300 cash, and then they handed us a credit card, and our limit on that credit card was $300. There was no possibility of even going over, because the way secured credit cards work is you give them money beforehand, so essentially no matter what happens, the credit company is not technically loaning you money. You kind of already put that money in the bank, and now it's like reserve. So every time you spend $300, you pay it back off. Spend, pay off, spend, pay off. And then once you've decided you are either done with the credit card or you want to move to something with a higher credit limit and change your credit card, you will get that $300 back. So it's kind of cool, but it builds your credit really fast. And then also, we did not have much debt at the time. Thankfully, we weren't really we didn't get into a lot of debt at a younger age. However, I do have some family members that did, and I would work in tandem with paying off debts, even if it's $10 a month, whatever you can do to work on paying that off. And then try and get a contract from the companies you're paying off that explains your payment program that you're on, so that if you did go to a lender, you have some information to give them saying, like, I'm committed to paying off this particular debt. Right? Pay off your small debts, big debts, whatever they are, pay them off as best as you can, and work on getting a secured credit card. That is like number one to purchasing a home. When you get to the point to where you have a down payment saved up, which would be for a first-time buyer somewhere between, for a middle-class house, at least in Arizona, your down payment would be somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000. So you get your credit right and get your down payment saved up. If you're married, the first thing you're going to want to do, if you have an interest in creating a list of rental income in the future, do what me and my husband did. So our first house, my husband bought in his name. So he had a first-time buyer loan because he never bought a house before, and he was buying that house. And I believe that on that loan it was 3% down. So we bought one house in his name. Then we lived in it for a year, because by law you have to live in it for a year if you're getting an FHA loan. We lived in it for a year. Then after that, literally like day after the year was over, we packed up our things and we listed it on Zillow. So we listed it on Zillow, and within, I would say 7 to 8 days, we had a renter signed on, and they moved in the following week. During all that, we had known all of this was coming up. So about 2 months prior to the moving date, we purchased a second home, and we had been saving that entire year for the second down payment on our second home. The second home was purchased in my name as a first-time buyer, so I also got the 3% down rule. So we were lucky. He got the 3% down rule, then I got the 3% down rule. So we got two homes, one being a rental, and the second one now is our residential property that we live in. So that's a really quick way to at least get one rental under your belt if you are a married couple. Then another option to continue to build okay, so you kind of have to be a little more creative after the both of you have had a first-time buyer loan, especially when you're starting off. See, a lot of people, they talk about using other people's money. They also talk about investment loans, like 20% down, which is very hard for an average Joe to come up with. And it's almost, when I used to start hearing people talk about it, it was like an impossible task. Like, okay, I'm never going to be able to save 20% down on a $200,000 house. It's like $40,000. Like, so we had to come up with some creative ways. So once we purchased those two first homes in first-time buyer loans, then what you do is you look for a third home with seller financing. If you can find a home that is a reasonable price, that is seller financing, and the seller outright owns the home, then you can write up a contract between you and the seller and a title company, and your credit does not have to be run. Now, the down payment is a little bit higher. I think it was like 7%, but that's still a lot better than the 25% when it's an investment loan. So if you do first house, first-time home buyer, second house, first-time home buyer, third house, seller financing, now you have two rentals and you're living in the house you just bought with seller financing. If you're interested in purchasing rental homes and you want to gain extra income that way, number one, secured credit card. And then secondly, when you're in the position, you have a down payment and you have a strong credit score, you go in to buy a first house with a first-time home buyer loan, live in it for a year, and then the second house, the second spouse will buy with a first-time home buyer loan. And you'll live in it for a year and you can look for other homes. Now, in one of my other videos, I'm going to go into detail about how to get really good, crystal clear renters. We've never had someone pay late. We've never had to evict someone. I can't say that we've ever had a bad renter in any of our homes. So I want to talk about how you can do that. So tune in for my next video, and please subscribe so that you can get notified when I come up with a new video. So God bless you guys, and please leave a comment if this helped you, or if you have any questions regarding what I did talk about today. Okay, let's do it. Bye-bye.